Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Help Heal Veterans Presents Virtual Crafters Studio. Thank you for spending some time with us today. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. You will see a toolbar on your computer with some icons for the event. You have joined the presentation using your computer speakers for sound by default. If you would prefer to join over telephone, just select the telephone and the audio setting, and the dial-in information will be displayed. And this is also in your chat box. Just to make sure that everyone is hearing me clearly, I am going to launch a poll. Please let me know how the sound is. I have disabled the chat for today's webinar, but if you have a question for our team, please open the Q&A at the bottom of your screen and type in your question. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will do our best to get to them. Also, we are recording this session and will make it available within the next few days if you would like to watch it again or share it with your friends and family. We will send everyone an email with the link and put it on our website. I'd like to introduce some of our presenters. First, we have two of our craft care specialists out of our Maywood, Illinois community-based craft clinic. We have Rose. Rose has been with HealVet since 2008 and has presented at our last few virtual crafting events. And out of our San Antonio, Texas community-based craft clinic, we have Melody. Melody has been with HealVet since 2002. And now I'd like to invite everyone to start in the craft event today.
Hello, virtual crafters. I hope you're all doing well out there in cyberspace. I'm very happy to be doing this craft with you today, and I hope that the fair weather is good everywhere. So today we are doing this fantastic 9/11 memorial candle that should have been mailed out to everybody at home recently. The only things that weren't put in that one that will be in the original kit is the votive and the glue. And we only left those out to make it nice and smooth for shipping. So you'll need to pick those up for this virtual event. So as Anna said, I'm down here in San Antonio. It is super hot today, but it is beautiful outside. So everything that you need to complete the kit, as I said, is in there. You should have the 3 panels at the top and the bottom. And most importantly, your instructions. Right here. I don't always follow instructions, much like my husband. I just go after things. I do recommend on this particular kit looking at those a little bit, just because it'll ease with your frustration in assembly. So the first thing you're going to do is gather everything you need to assemble it. So you're going to need some scissors, some tape, like I said, some glue for those of you at home today. You need maybe a brush to put the glue on. If you decide you're going to paint it, varnish it, embellish it, we suggest you do that before assembly. Gather those together. You need a toothbrush, toothpick, pen or something to punch out the holes and everything. And after that, you're good to go. I also like to use Dyson whenever I'm doing a craft of any kind. That's what this bright yellow pad is here. Dyson is just a thick, sticky piece of plastic. I like it because, for one, it helps with visual impairity. You can really focus on that. And because it's sticky, it helps with those fine motor because it'll hold everything in place. When you drop little things, they kind of stick to the mat. So that's why I always work with Dyson. Plus, it keeps your glue and everything, your paint, it all stays on the Dyson, which washes fantastically. And you can get these online. Amazon has them, sure. So once you've gathered all your items that you need, you're going to go ahead and get your instructions out, find your first step. Now, if you need to at any time, you can pause. So if we're doing something, you might need an extra minute or so. Since this is being recorded, you can just pause it and then unpause when you're ready to resume. If I go too fast, I can sometimes talk too fast, or maybe I ramble and just pause it because you're definitely ramble, and that's okay too. If you do decide you want to glaze this or paint it, It's always good to stay away from those areas where you're going to glue it so you don't get that gloopy, gloppy look with your paint. One of the things my guys decided to do, and of course you would have to do this before assembly, Operation Comfort down here in San Antonio is a fabulous nonprofit that works with veterans, and they have like a woodworking shop. So what they have decided to do with these, you can take all these little cutouts and you can actually pour glaze into it, which gives it a really neat look. Now, if you still want, you know, the light to show through, you want to use like a really light glaze, but you can do that on these. And I found that to be a really fun little alternative. Okay, so getting started. So your very first step is to punch out all of those little pieces. So each of these has pieces to punch out, like so. You just punch that right out. Now, you can use the pieces you punch out to punch out the other ones, because you might get one that's a little stuck, a little harder than the other one. Some of them, they just fall out if you just tap them. But they have little stubborn guys, like these stars here. That's why I recommend toothpick, or like a ballpoint pen. Sometimes you'll get it if you have a little teeny tiny screwdriver like this. That works great. But the toothpicks really work well in getting out those teeny tiny stars. And you'll just punch through each one of those until you get all of your pieces out. If you leave a star in, it's not a big deal, you know, but the more you get out, the more light shines through. That's the idea. But the toothpick can actually go all the way through. You can see that, so that it won't stay in there. See, I just punched that all the way through. If you do have fine motor issues, you can always put your pen in one of these grippies to kind of help you poke through. So you're going to punch everything out. My favorite thing is these little hands. So HHV did this fun thing where they did our logo on one of your panels. And when you punch it out, you get this fun little hand. Hello, out there in the virtual crafter world. And you can take these hands and repurpose them and do all kinds of fun stuff with them. I plan on using all my hands in some way, shape, or form. Matter of fact, I did on this kit. I put one on the top of this lid. One of my fellow CCSs over in Chicago, he had the idea to actually use it as a handle on the top. So you could glue that straight up and that would be your handle for the lid. But tons of fun, tons of things you can do with these little hands. So keep them, don't get rid of them. But at HHV and most crafters, we love to repurpose and reuse. So even all these little things I punched out, I'll probably make something with it later. Who knows what I'll do with those fun things? I'm sure you guys can come up with something. After you get all that punched out, the next step is going to be putting your fabric on the inside. So I have my panels here of fabric, and they give you quite a big size. You just have the one in there. And what I like to do with my panel, just to make it kind of quick and easy, I fold it in fourths. Fold it in fourths, and then you grab your handy dandy scissors, and you just cut that right where you folded it. Stick that right in there, slice it, and then those other two folds, slice it. Slice it. It doesn't matter the size, guys. You really only need a little bit to cover where your holes are. So, you know, when you come over and lay it on there after doing that, it's usually about the size you need. So don't worry about measuring, or, you know, don't fret over the size of the fabric. It really doesn't matter. If you do it in the fourths, it's going to fit great and you won't have to mess with it. And if you decide you want to do something a little different with yours, you can do, like I said, you can put that resin in, that gel. You can put different types of fabric on. This one I used just a ribbon, a clear ribbon. And so now it shines red, although it's funny now when I put the candle in, I want to sing that song, Roxanne, you need to put on the red light. So yeah, make it your own. You can literally put anything in there, or you can leave it completely empty if you choose. The light will still shine through. It's up to you. This is your craft. So once we have our fabric, our next step is putting that fabric on there. So you can use your wood glue that you bought. You can pretty much use any kind of glue. My favorite on this one in particular is Modge Podge. And I have to look closely, make sure I read it, because I always seem to want to say hodgepodge with this stuff. I don't know why I want to say that, but it's Modge Podge, and it works great on fabric as well as wood. So you've got both components there. That's why I like that one on this one. So you take your fabric right to the back there. Just make sure it's not hanging over. Like I said, the size doesn't matter, but you really don't want it hanging over the edge, because then it'll just be a pain when you go to assemble it. Grab your little brush. You might want a tray to put your glue in. I did not grab one, or a little paper plate. I'm just going to put it on my brush directly, but this can be messy if you're not professional like me. You just need a little bit of glue on there. And then what you do is basically just paint those edges. You paint that down and it just sticks right to the wood. Get all your edges all the way around on all of your panels. And you really don't need much. You don't have to saturate it. You can kind of see I'm just, barely applying a light layer around the edge just to kind of hold it in place. The fabric sticks very easily. Once it's all laying down flat, you're good to go. And just put those off to the side, go have a cup of tea or what have you and let that dry. When you're all done letting it dry, then you're going to come back, check your directions again, especially for this next part. This is the part that's important for the directions, all right? So the next thing is lining up your craft. And one of the fantastic things about this kit, it incorporates so many different components for crafting. I love it because it's kind of like a puzzle, and I love to do puzzles. You've got the woodworking element. You can sand it, stain it, wood burning tool, all kinds of things. Then painting. Those of you like to paint, you can paint this thing. You can color on it. You can do all of it. And it seems like a simple kit, but really it has such a huge impact, on what we have it there for. The honoring 9/11, especially in this climate, is so important. So HHB putting this out, I'm so proud to be presenting it to you, and I'm so happy that we can still have a day of remembrance for our first responders, for everyone involved, and just as Americans, we need to remember. So I think that's a really beautiful thing about this kit. So what you do, these little sides have notches in them. You can kind of see there, all your little notches. And you have to get them lined up where they fit together. And every in between should be flat. By that I mean, so this little notch is flat with the one right beside it now. It's a completely seamless interlocking there. And you need to do that with all three pieces. Make sure all three interlock just like this. It looks nice and flat here, streamlined, because that's the way we're going to now put it upright. You want it to stay that way. So once you have all your pieces nice and interlocked, you need your tape next. For this kit, I really love to use painter's tape because I like to embellish everything. So on this one that you saw right from the beginning, I did just like an antiquing on it. It's got like an antique finish. And the good thing about the painter's tape is it's not going to pull your finish off. So no matter what you do on this paint, stain, whatever, it will not pull it off. So that's why I like the painter's tape. And before I start, I like to rip off my little pieces and stick them over on the side so I'm not fumbly. So I've got my little pieces all over to the side, and then I'm just going to start taping this guy. So I'm going to pull it upright, making sure my pieces are still interlocked. And once that's interlocked, you can kind of see, and here's the other good thing. Once you tape it, you won't have to worry about it again. You're just going to get it taped right on the side. See, then I can let it go. Ooh, that's free. And then come in with my other piece, right? We had it right there. Remember, this was laying flat like that. So I'm just pulling it up, keeping it in line. And I'm going to bring it right over here and tape that side. Make sure it's even. And you can, you know, keep it flat as you're taping it. It just makes it a little bit harder as you try to maneuver it into the triangle, but you can do that. So I'm going to bend. I'm going to bend. And it does look like I'm very fumbly with this today. And then I'm going to bend again until I have my beautiful little triangle, and it'll be, you won't have any gaps in there. If you do, you want to keep, you know, messing with it until it's flat. That way, when you put your glue in, it's going to be nice and stable. Not that, you know, you guys are building skyscrapers here. I don't expect any of y'all to, you know, balance books on this or anything, but, you know, just for your own peace of mind. If you're perfectionist like me, and you want to make sure it's to your liking and have all those edges nice and flush. Yeah. Once you have those on there, and I have one ready to go. I was thinking of cooking shows when they have their next step all prepared. So this one has been all taped up and it's ready to go. Your next step is putting that little lid on there, and you might have to wiggle it into place. And that's why we haven't glued it yet, because you want to make sure your lid, your bottom, that it fits nice and snug. See, okay. Then I know that I taped that right, that it's perfect, it's aligned, because my lid fits perfect. Or your bottom, lid, your bottom. This doesn't matter. When I didn't follow my instructions and I put the glue on, I went ahead and glued the top first. I knew, because my 9/11 was upside down, and I said, oh no, now how do I put my candle in? You'll be fine. That top can stay glued. You'll just put your candle on the bottom and then set it on top. So no worries. Mistakes get made. You can still make it work. It'll be fine. So you've got your lid on or your bottom, and that's doing good. The next step is to glue it. So we're going to come in. Again, I used my Modge Podge, but you can use any kind of wood glue. Grab your brush again. You can also do this with the toothpick you had out. You can use that pen you had out. Well, you might get your pen gloopy, but you can wash it. You can use a staple. You can use pretty much anything to put that bead of glue in, and you're going to do it all along these little joints on the inside. So you want to keep it as small as possible. Again, it's not a big deal if it's not. If it's not that little tiny bit of glue and it's all over the place, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it, because I know I've got my guys at home with the fine motor issues, and that's okay. This is a handy little tool. If you have fine motor, just grab that, and see, it's a bigger brush, so it's not going to be super fine as I put it in there, but it will work. So I'm just going to use a regular wood glue. I come in here and put that bead in there. And I just use the same brush that I applied my Hodge Podge, there we go, my Modge Podge with. I use the same brush because it's still got a little bit of the glue on it. It worked fine. But again, you can use any wood glue that you want. Just get a little bit on your brush, your pen, whatever. And you're just going to run it right along the inside. And see, I already gooped. I'll put glue right there, but it's fine. I'm going to brush it off and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to run it all in the edge. And if your tape pops off while you're gluing, that's okay. Just tape it back in a position. No big deal. All right. So run your glue all along those edges. Get it all along that bottom edge and every little joint. And then put it off to the side. Go have lunch if you're on Central Time. Go have a brunch if you're on the coast. And then you put that off to the side. So while that's gluing, I'm going to give you guys a second and I'm going to show you some of the fun embellishments that I did with these. I think I told you I did an antique stain on here, and you can buy this. I sanded it. I just took some sandpaper and kind of roughed it up. And then I put this antique on it so that it looks old. And then I just wanted to put a little accent here on the 9/11. And I did that with paint pens. You can just do it, and you can do it with anything, you know, if you have some acrylic at home. I found a fun little, it's a bead, but it's wood, so you can paint over it and you do whatever you want. You can put anything on the top and make that your little holder for your lid. I just had this floating around. You can put stickers on there, as you can see with this one. If you have patriotic stickers somewhere, and you want to add, add a little eagle on top or a flag or something, that's also nice. With fine motor, you just stick it on. It's easy, easy peasy. Make sure your stuff is, where you want it. Of course, you can peel it off. But another thing I really love about this kit is you can personalize it. I think I was talking to you guys about the wood burning tool. So in all of our wood, you can, go in and engrave it with a wood burning tool. Or you know what? You don't even need that. You can just write on it. I wrote on this one with a marker. Maybe you know someone personal that, was at 9/11, or maybe you just have a personal experience and you want to write your little prayer on there. I wrote peace, prayers, and love to our first responders under mine. That was just my little wish for them. In doing this, not just crafting it, but having that emotion behind it, I wanted to, memorialize and pay tribute in my own way with that little bit of respect. So you can do that on your kit. I put a ribbon on this one. So you can add a little ribbon, whatever you like. This one, I did puffy paint. So that kind of gives you that three-dimensional feel. And I just outlined it with some puffy paint. And again, I'm always thinking of people with, dexterity issues, or even are visually impaired can do this. This side, I'm trying to get that camera right, is just pencil. So crown colored pencil also works on this wood. That's all this is, guys. This is just colored pencil, super easy. And this side too, colored pencil. It works, makes it look beautiful. Oh, and I stuck a little hand on top of that one. And this is my absolute favorite thing to do with wood. I do it with all my wood. I'm just kind of obsessed with it, I guess. I love watercolor everything. So I did what I like to call a wood wash on this one. So you can use just regular acrylic paint for this. The little ones you can get at dollar store even. And you just take that, and instead of painting like you normally do with acrylic paint, you're doing more of a wipe off, okay? So your brush is nice and wet, not like dripping wet, but just, damp. And then you're gonna get a little bit of your acrylic paint, and you're basically wiping the paint off of the wood. And that's how you get like a wood stain, just like if you went and bought wood stain. But the good thing with acrylic is it's not toxic. You're not gonna have that smell, and you can still get you a little bit of that wood grain coming through, which I really love. So that's my favorite thing to do with wood. I do it with all my wood. And on this one, I also added some little beads. I don't know if you can see those. I have tons of beads and jewelry making stuff everywhere. So I oftentimes will just add those onto my wood for fun. So you can do that with them. Just make it your own, add some pizzazz to it. Jizz it up, as they like to say. So once that's all dry, the outside of it, you really only have one thing left, and that's to put your candle in there. Now, you don't want to put a regular candle in there because this is obviously a fire hazard. You've got fabric, paint, wood. This is not, flame retardant wood. So you want to go and get yourself these little votives, a little battery operated, which snaps on and on. You can get like a 6-pack at the dollar store. Walmart also carries a 6-pack for $1, I believe. And so that's what you want to put in there. And this one you can kind of see has already got the glow. I think in my lighting, you can kind of see it. There you go. If I do that flicker, you can kind of see it. And that just makes it all that much more beautiful to have that little bit of glow in there. So I hope that you guys really enjoy this kit. Like I said, not just assembling it, but having that little bit of time to remember. I know on my experience of 9/11, my husband was active duty at the time, and he was in Afghanistan. And when all that came on the TV, I was horrified, thinking, oh my God, what is happening to my husband over there? What is going on? What I didn't realize at the time was he was much more safe at that moment than we were here on our soil, on American soil. It's really terrifying to think about. So I'm very happy that we're able to have something to remember those heroes from that day, those families, and in whatever our own experiences. I'm so thrilled that I was able to spend this time with you today. I hope you guys really enjoyed making this craft. I hope you got some new ideas out of it. And I hope that you continue crafting. I think it's a wonderful thing to do for so many reasons. And I just wanted to give you guys a reminder that moving forward, our virtual crafting studio is going to be a sign-up basis. The next date is going to be November 17th, and it'll be an open invitation, but you will need to register. And they'll give you a couple weeks, probably after you receive your kit, and they'll give you some time on that. Again, this is Melody down in San Antonio, and it has been a joy crafting with you guys. Have a blessed day.